we going to get this thing started hot because there has been controversy in the Olympics. And Rob G it was with boxing. And what turns out to be two female boxers. But there was a lot of misunderstanding and misidentifying and all of that. So, Rob G, kind of bring us up to speed on this situation.
Well, that's right. Well, actually, full disclosure, America, we were going to do this story yesterday when it had first kind of started percolating. And when Chris Broussard and I talked about it before the show, and we decided or discovered that the woman in question, the Algerian boxer by the name of... I'm sorry, the email's going really slow right now. But anyways, it turns out she was a female. It's like, well, what's the story? So we ultimately decided not to. Well, that didn't stop a lot of other people from commenting on it because in the last 24 hours or so, it all started when Algeria's...
Is it Imane Khelif?
Imane Khelif, the E is silent. Algeria's Imane Khelif was boxing Italian boxer Angela Carini, and in 46 seconds, Carini retires in the middle of the fight. She says she couldn't breathe. She's never been hit that hard before. That's why I decided to come out. However, during the scrum, members of the Italian Boxing Federation who were standing around her started to expound and tell media members, this was a dangerous fight. She never should have been out there. She is a man, talking about Khelif. And this all stems from a ruling handed down by the IBA in the World Championships, where Khelif was determined to have an XY chromosome, which generally would be assumed to be a male, and is why she was removed from that event. However, the IOC and other governing bodies who she has fought for years and years and years now determined that even though she does have a Y chromosome, even though she does have elevated levels of testosterone relative to most women, that is completely normal and is actually part of more of a genetic disorder than her actually being a man. So by all accounts, she has female genitalia. She's identified as a woman her entire life. She is a female boxer. And obviously this became a big talking point in the last 24 hours. People coming up in arms saying there is no way that a man should fight a woman. And this morning, the Italian boxer who started this whole thing, Carini, who retired after 46 seconds, spoke to the BBC and an Italian newspaper. She said that she would apologize to Khelif for this whole ordeal, saying the controversy, quote, makes me sad. I'm sorry for my opponent. If the IOC says she can fight, I respect that decision. And she added that if she were to see Khelif again, she would embrace her for this whole misunderstanding.
Rob G, quickly, and thank you for that great summary. Are there any biological men that are fighting women in these Olympics?
Not that we can confirm, no.
Okay. Shaun, it was simple to me. Initially, like a lot of people, I mean, I hadn't tweeted or commented on it, but when I thought initially that this was a man, or I guess some people would say a transgender woman, fighting against a woman, I thought it was ridiculous. My head hasn't been under the sand. I mean, I know that this is starting to happen, but I'm against it. Biological men should not be competing in sports against women. And what's going to happen if they continue to do this is some woman's going to get really hurt. It just is what it is. I mean, we don't like men hitting women, and rightly so. But why are we going to put them in a boxing ring to fight against each other? I have two daughters that played field hockey. I would not want them competing against boys. And so I'm against that. But in this case, it does seem, I mean, Khelif is a woman. Now, she has a chromosomal difference, I guess, than the majority of the human population. But genitalia, everything else, she seems to be and not only identifies, but lives as a woman and has the genitalia and so on and so forth. So I just think, and also she has lost many fights to women. It's not like, she is, because of her elevated testosterone, that she's just out there smashing women. So I think she should be allowed to fight. The fighter that quit, I mean, I don't know what type of competition she faced before. I would imagine it's good if she's an Olympian, but she just got beat by a better fighter, it seems, and didn't, maybe even in, I don't know what, if anything, she had thoughts going into the fight, Sean, but knowing that Khelif has lost many times to women, like, I have a hard time believing she's hitting just way harder than any other woman. And I wonder, this is pure speculation on my part, I wonder if the fighter that quit, the Italian fighter, if she had heard, because Rob G, you said the Italian administrators are the ones that kind of were saying it's a man?
Yeah, according to all the reports, BBC, Yahoo, they were saying this even before the fight started, that she should not be participating. Okay. She's been banned from the IBA, and that is a man. So when their fighter got touched up really bad in those 40 seconds,
I was going to say,
they had that excuse ready to go.
Yeah, and I bet, that probably put some thought in the fighter's mind. Like, I'm fighting a man. And so I'm sure that messed her up mentally. And maybe when she got clocked a few times, she just, it took it to a whole nother level in her mind. And that's why I think she apologized. Because if she just quit, like if she went into that fight thinking she's fighting a woman and the hits were so hard that she just quit, you don't need to apologize. Roberto Duran didn't apologize to Sugar Ray Leonard when he quit. You really hurt yourself, not the other fighter. And so I think that probably may have played a role, at least mentally, in the Italian fighter's mind as well, Sean.
Chris, I'll be honest, I'm confused. It sounds like one sanctioning body voted against her, but the Olympic Committee voted for her. Khelif is 25 now, so from a physical maturity standpoint, probably in her prime. All I know is I didn't watch either of the fights. I think she's fought twice. It's in totality, but I think she fought an Asian fighter before. It looked like a male hitting a female.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looked like she was
because I haven't seen her
bombs.
Fight.
And I know she lost.
Did it go to distance? I know they have the headgear, so
yeah, I think it did.
Okay.
I know in 2020 she lost in the Olympics. I forget the young lady's name, but again, that was 4 years ago, a 21-0 version.
She's never medaled though.
Right, 25. So I don't know. I just wish they would get on the same page. I hate that if the testing is uniform, that one governing body can say no and another one can say yes. To me, that's where the confusion comes in.
Yeah, it's tough. And look, with testosterone, you remember this is decades ago. I don't want to misspeak, but was it the Russian or East German I feel like it was there were runners who were dominating in women's sports, and they were taking performance-enhancing drugs, and that's one way with women. I think
that was German.
With women, that's how you measure it. The testosterone, that's one way, elevated. So, if elevated levels of testosterone, that's more in line with a male. But again, she's never medaled in the Olympics. She has lost several times. So I that's why I think, Sean, that, and you said it, you saw her fighting the Asian fighter and she was just hammering her. But
yeah,
I just think that this is an issue. And like I said, somebody's going to get hurt if you start allowing boys at the high school levels fight against girls, and not just fighting, but play basketball, softball, whatever it might be. I don't understand how so many women who claim to be all about women's liberation and rights for women, feminists and so on, are okay with men participating in women's sports. That is going to take away opportunities from women, girls. I'm sorry. And I know this is like a big political thing, You know, you had the Leah Thomas situation as a swimmer at Pennsylvania, was a male. Now, you know, claims to be a female, then was able to swim and, you know, was a mediocre college swimmer for men and became like all world for women, or, you know, at the collegiate level. And you had many members, and UPenn is a very liberal school. My daughter went there and goes there now getting her PhD. And you had members on that swim team, Sean, saying, now they said it anonymously to journalists because they didn't want, you know, to be viewed as a bigot or, you know, whatever it might be, go against the school's liberal policies, whatever. And a lot of them were, I bet just about all of them were liberals anyway. But they still understand it's not fair. It's not right. Leah Thomas, I don't think should be swimming against men. I'm not going to celebrate a man beating women in sports. I'm sorry.
I agree with you there because I have two girls as well, and I definitely would feel away if I went to their competition and they were competing against a male. That would bother me.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, beyond just, I think being philosophically ridiculous, it's dangerous. And I hope people learn before that, but if they don't learn, hopefully nobody learns the hard way and a female is severely hurt by a male.
I agree.
You know, and I guess people want to say, well, what would you do with the transgender athlete? Well, you know, have their own like division where they compete against one another. That's what I would say. You know, I don't, because I don't think males should be competing against females. Females competing against males isn't really an issue. They're not going to be that effective. So let them compete against one another. But yeah.